Hi guys, so we're off today to do some door knocking sales. As you can see, we're dressed up. We're dressed up smart casual. We've been careful not to necessarily wear a suit and a waistcoat and look too smart, because that can sometimes alienate you from the client. Especially when you're going out to see a range of different businesses. You know, a lot of like takeaway shop owners, they want to find you relatable. They're not going to relate as much to a guy who's dressed up to the nines with a waistcoat and suit. So try to pick the middle ground to make you appealing to everybody in the way that you dress. We're going to get out and hit the doors. It's now 20 to 11, which should be a good time to go out. You know, the takeaway shops are going to be opening soon. The estate agents are open now. Other businesses are opening in full swing. So let's get out and see what happens. There we go, guys. So I've been out for about an hour so far. Had some decent responses so far. Tried to film a few of our interactions up to the point where I need to reach in my bag to hand some rates over. Kind of hard to film beyond that point because you're concentrating on trying to get the message across to people. You don't want them to realise you're on your phone doing something, otherwise that's an instant no-no. But yeah, so far so good, guys. All seems to be going well. Hi guys, welcome to 14 Flips. If you've been following along, you'll be well aware of what our current flip is and what stage we're at on it. I just wanted to talk a little bit today briefly about sales and door knocking sales, maybe give you a little bit of advice and insight if it's not something that you are familiar with yourself. So door knocking sales, business to business. This can seem like quite a daunting task at first. You're going to be cold calling into other businesses in the hope that they may need your service and to try and promote yourself. And you're going to face a lot of objection and rejection along the way. I think it's very important to be aware of that from the start. No matter what product or service you're selling, you're always going to encounter barriers to people using your service, and some people are going to be politer than others. At the end of the day, you are disturbing people uninvited in their place of work, so you need to expect the occasional bit of rude pushback. I would say from my personal experience that the vast majority of people are quite polite and professional, especially once you do it for a little while and you tend to pick up the signals. You'll know almost immediately if somebody's got a genuine need for your service or if you're completely banging on the wrong door. So we're going to just talk a little bit about the process with that today, and it won't be an incredibly long video. So door knocking. What is the purpose of business to business door knocking? Now, I know that those of you out there with less experience may think the purpose is to walk in the shop, achieve a sale on that day there and then. That rarely happens, guys, and that isn't really your overall purpose for door knocking sales. Your main purpose is to gather information. Think of it like a fact-finding exercise rather than a sales exercise is probably the best way to put it. You're going to go and knock on the doors and you're essentially trying to find out, do you currently use this service? If no, is it something you may be interested in the future? If yes, how are you currently doing it? Who are you using? And to find ideally the name and contact details of the decision maker, the person who holds the purse strings. This will then arm you a lot better next time to actually go and make the sale. A lot of the sales are made by appointment calls, so if you know that company does use your service, they're currently using a rival company, and the man who owns the purse string and makes the decision is called John Smith, that's a lot of information. That's a good amount of information to start really trying to pick that sale up. Then when you call on the phone, you're calling up, you're not just asking, can I speak to the manager, the owner? You're calling up saying, hi, is John there? Is Mr. Smith there? And in an ideal world, if you spoke to them on a door knocking exercise before, they're going to remember you and you've got something to follow it up with. So try to think of it not as an instant sales exercise, but more of a fact-finding mission to find out whether or not these people use your service. So where do you start when you go into the shop? You're knocking into another business, whatever that business may be. You want to try and establish immediately off the bat who you are and why you're there. Whether it's business to business door knocking in my day job or doing this or doing other things that I've done in the past, you want to immediately establish who you are, because you've just walked in off the street. They don't know if you're a customer, a sales guy, someone who's there to rob the place. They don't know who you are. So you want to walk in, immediately establish yourself. My name is Jess and I'm from a local, this company, in this case, I'm from a local leafletting company. I can see you're really busy. I was just hoping to find out, do you guys currently have leaflets or menus distributed in the local area? In my day job, which is road transport, I call into businesses. I'm Jess, I'm calling in from local transport company. Do you guys currently use transport providers? Do you have things delivered on pallets? This kind of thing. Immediately establish who you are and why you're there. The second thing after that, depending on their response, so they're either going to tell you, no, we don't use that, in which case you've got two roads to go down, depending on the signals they give. You either say, no problem, thank you for your time, sorry to bother you, and you leave, if it's an indication that then it's something that's never going to be of interest to them. They may say no, or not at the moment, or something like this, in which case you want to be saying, okay, well, is it something you might consider doing in the future? Is it something you may have explored before? And try and carry the conversation that way. But once they say, no, we don't use that service, be very cautious how you proceed, because that is essentially your cue to finish the conversation and to leave. However, if they say yes, yeah, we do that, we currently do that, great, this is your invitation to talk a little bit more with them. So then you want to be asking fact-finding questions like, oh, that's great. How do you currently manage that? How are you currently doing that? So today a lot of people said, yeah, we have menus distributed. My immediate next question is, great, like, how do you do that? They may be doing it themselves. A lot of companies nowadays do tend to do things themselves. It's the same in both my day job and this. We find people try to cut costs by doing things themselves. Your avenue after that should be, how do you find it? How's your response? How does that work for you financially? Whatever avenue you want to pick to go down, but pick an avenue to ask them, how does that work for you? You're essentially trying to lead them to the point where they think, well, actually it's a lot of hard work, or actually it's a lot of cost, or etc. Your ideal outcome is they're going to say, yes, we do that, and yes, we currently use a company to do that. Because then you're going to want to follow up with, okay, do you mind if I ask who you're currently using and how do you find them? How do you get along with them? How is the service? You're essentially trying to, if they use a company, find a weakness in your competition. That weakness could be price, it could be service, it could be customer service, it could be any number of things. I've heard all sorts of things from door knocking leads about competitors. Everyone seems to have a different bone to pick. But you're essentially trying to find out what is it about that company that kind of bothers them, so you can absolutely hammer why you're better at that particular thing. What problem are you having with your current provider, so that you can then either now or later offer the solution. They may say, okay, the company I'm using at the minute, yeah, they're okay, but the price is too expensive, for example. Then you can leave the shop with the knowledge that you know that they do use the service, who they're using, what the problem they're currently having is. So when you call them on the phone in a week's time, or you drop back in the shop, you can go in and say, look, I understand you're using so-and-so. I know they can be a little bit expensive, like I've heard from other people. can we do something on price? You know what kind of angle you're coming at it from. It may be service, and you can really hammer why you're better on the service. It really depends, guys. But what you're ultimately trying to do is find a weakness in your competitor so that you can then play that angle of why you can solve that problem for them, why they should use you and not the other. Another thing that's quite important to try to figure out is who you're actually speaking to at the time. If you're speaking to the owner of the business, or if you're speaking to the cleaner who's in the shop before they open up, you're going to get very different responses, and you're going to want to approach it very differently. Now, it's not to say that the cleaner in the shop before anybody comes in can't be very useful to you. In fact, quite often employees, especially employees at the lower end of the business, for want of a better word, will be a lot more talkative, and they will quite often unknowingly give you quite a lot of information. I've had it in my day job before where I've knocked into places before, places that I've cold called on the phone before, and they've said, no, we absolutely don't use that service. When I've dropped in, spoken to the guys in the warehouse or the drivers, or any number of other positions in the company, they go, oh yes, we use so-and-so company, and they come every day, and we use it for this many units of that item. So you, without really knowing, lower end employees can sometimes be very helpful when you're fact finding. You can also ask them, who do I need to speak to? Who would make a decision like that? What's their name? Do you have a number for them at all? You can find out a lot of information that way. So after you've established that, you've given your pitch, you've introduced yourself, you found the information you want, you're going to want to say, look, let me leave you a leaflet, let me leave you some printed material. This is just an introduction to who we are. If they've given you a strong indication that they do use a company or they might be interested, you may potentially want to leave them behind a copy of your rates. And you leave it there and you tell them, okay, cool, hope to hear from you, I would love to work together. You may want to add some kind of time pressure to that. How you add that is going to depend on the service that you're offering. So in this case, in this instance, I've been telling people whatever area that I'm in, the surrounding areas, we've got a run that's starting in 2 weeks in this area. If you get in touch this week, we can probably give you a really keen price. Maybe you'd like to use that keen price as an introduction just to see how we get along, and you can look at going for a more premium service in the future. But you're essentially trying to apply a timescale. You're trying to create urgency. It's known as creating urgency in the sales trade. You don't want to leave it open as, okay, cool, just call me. Give me a call because this is a time-limited offer. There's a route starting in the future. This half-price sale is finishing next Thursday. Like, whatever you use, creating this kind of time pressure is quite a common thing in sales. And unless you work in sales, you probably wouldn't even recognize that all around you, these things exist no matter what you're buying or selling. So then you'll come out of the shop, hopefully armed with a lot more information. They'll be left with your printed material and potentially a copy of your rates. So they've now got your contact details and what you charge. They've met you in person. They've seen you dress presentably. They've seen you come in, be confident, approachable, and inspire trust. You're going to go out, you're going to note down any information you've got. Spoke to Bob. Bob said, need to call John. Currently using this rival company, currently sending this many units per month, whatever useful information. And if you've spoken to the decision maker, then even better. And that is something that is always, note keeping on customers is always going to be helpful for you. So in my day job, I deal with a range of current accounts that I manage to keep the customers happy. And kind of deal with any problems that may arise between them and the company. And on my desk, I've got notes that you wouldn't even think to have. I keep notes on customers from our meetings, from general conversation. If I know that the owner of the company has a dog, next time I go, I'm going to take them a dog bone. This is for your dog. If I know they've got a child, I might take a bag of sweets. When I call them on the phone, if I've noted their child or their wife's name, how is your wife, your kids. These things make you seem a lot more interested in them and make you a lot more approachable, and it inspires confidence in people. If you dealing with a business and they do things that set them apart, or they remember things about you, your hobbies, your family life, etc., that shows that that company cares about you. You're not just a number and a customer. They genuinely care about you as a person. And I think that's very important. Any kind of sales or account management role is note keeping. You've absolutely got to keep notes on people. There is obviously a lot of different kinds of sales and they all serve a different purpose. Telesales is something else that we're going to show you in future videos, either with this flip or potentially others. But we'll definitely come into telesales at some point, how you can build a script for success and what you really need to be getting from the telesales, because that's slightly different to door knocking. Both serve a purpose. I personally prefer door knocking sales, especially when it's business to business, because businesses get tens of calls a month offering all different services. It's very impersonal and it's very easy to dismiss somebody on the phone. Whereas when the person is here in front of you, not only does it make you more memorable and come across as more trustworthy, again, inspiring confidence, it's a lot harder to dismiss the person in front of you. You're going to be a lot more receptive to what that person has to say when they're in the room with you than if they're just on the phone. This is just basic psychology. So we're going to come into that a little bit later, but we'll when we come into that, I'll show you how door knocking and telesales kind of go hand in hand, and why gathering this information is important, so that when you do go to make telesales, you're not randomly cold calling. You're calling to ask for the right person. You're calling to say, I dropped you this in, which you hope the decision maker has got your leaflet or the rates that have been given to them by the other employee. So in a week's time, you'll be following that up with calls to say, I dropped in on this day, dropped you in some rates in the leaflets. Just wanted to know if you had a chance to look at them, have you got any feedback or thoughts? And you'll get a lot more responses than cold calling, although we will cover cold calling in the future as well. There's many different ways to sell, but door knocking and cold calling are probably the most predominant of where it all starts. I'm going to leave you with a few videos of our interactions today. I didn't get to film too many because I'm in the shop trying to talk to people. I don't want them to know they're being filmed or make it seem like I'm not interested. So I've kind of tried to casually just record a few. These are 100% genuine. They're just from some random shops that I dropped into. You'll hear from one of them. I dropped in and asked, do you guys currently do leaflets? The guy said, oh yeah, we do that. We're very interested. How much would you charge for 30,000? I've gone in and filmed them, but at the point of having to then hand rates over and the conversation moving to the next step, I've cut the videos because I then need to be giving the person my full attention without them thinking that I may be on the phone or playing on the phone or doing something that isn't giving them my full attention. So hope that helps, guys. And like I said previously, the by far and large the best way to learn how to do any kind of sales is to just get out there and do it. Just be confident, get out there, grow some thick skin, hone your personal pitch, and just be good with people. And I guarantee you'll make some sales. I've already picked some customers up today, got a lot of potential leads to follow up now next week, and this is just from one half a day out knocking on the doors. So good luck to anyone who's doing it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video, guys. Take care. Right, chaps, how are you? Good. Sorry, Bobby, you mate. I can see you're busy back there. All it is, just a quick one. I'm from a local leaflet distribution company. We distribute leaflets and menus and things through letterboxes in the local area. Do you guys ever have like your menus put out door to door?
Actually, we need it just really close to the bus.
Looking to get it done, yeah?
How much you charge it for?
We charge by the thousand, and it depends how you want them delivered. Shall I leave you a copy of our rates?
30,000.
Hello mate, how are you, alright? No, that's fine. Sorry to bother you. All it is, I'm from a local leaflet distribution company, new in the area, just wanted to drop in and introduce ourselves. Also to find out, do you guys ever have like menus distributed door to door around the local area?
We went by our drivers actually.
Your drivers do it at the minute. How do you find that? Must take a lot of time.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah, is it something you may consider using a company for in the future?
Yeah,
Maybe you could
sure.
get more out, more consistently as well, gives you a much more consistent option.
Okay.
Yeah, is it something you might be interested in?
Yeah, give me a card or something.
Yeah, okay, look, I'll leave you this. This has got my number on the bottom, brief introduction to what we do. I'll leave you a copy of our rates, bear with me.